Okay, hello ladies and gents. So basically what I want to do with this video is I just want to show the difference between the depth of field in Forza compared to just iRacing. You can also compare it to GT Sport just to see the difference. And there is a real difference between when you can see the apexes of the corners, and this kind of needs to be shown. So that's what I will be doing right now. So a big shout out to these two YouTubers, both the Racing Line and H119. We'll be using both their videos today. I have muted the sound because I'm more or less what I want to do is you can see my mouse pointer. I'm going to be pointing out every single time I can see the apex. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Okay. So this first corner is pretty blind, but you can still somewhat see the apex is right there. And that's what you're going to be looking to hit before you accelerate. And this corner up the hill is always going to be blind, but you can see the apex here. The apex is going to be here, and the apex is right here. And then this is blind, so you kind of just have to know the corner to take that. It's going to be the same in any racing game. Sometimes there's going to be blind corners. You're just going to have to take them blind. But for the most part, you can definitely see the apexes of most corners. So for this corner coming up, what's important to note is this rumble strip is also considered to be a braking zone for most faster cars, so you know exactly where to start stopping at. And you can notice I can start seeing the corner here, and the apex is right there. I can already see the apex, and this is exactly what you're going to hit. Apex right here, and then apex right there. I can see it. So I can clearly see it. Even though it looks like you can't see it, I really, really can see it. And the difference is pretty much night and day. The apex is right here, and you hold your line right there on the apex. And then you're going to accelerate out. Here, the apex is right here. I can already see it. That's the point I aim to hit. So this is what I mean by there is a drastic difference in where you can see the apexes. The apex is going to be right here. And then you're going to hit that, and then the second apex is right there. You don't have to hit it. It depends on the class and your handling, but that's where the apex would be. This apex is right here, right at the edge of the wall of your vision. This apex is right here. So this is what I'm saying. I haven't even raced on this track in iRacing yet, but this apex is right here. But even though I haven't raced on this track, I can still see exactly where the apexes are, like right here. That's an apex. So that's just the big difference. I can see all the apexes well before I reach the corner. It's not as simple as can you just see the corner? It's like I can see the apex. The apex is right here. This corner's gonna shove you off, so the apex is late. And you need to be able to recognize these differences as well. So the apex of this corner is here. Apex of this corner is right there. You saw it like outside, just outside your vision. It's kind of hard to see that one, but that gives you an idea of what it looks like in iRacing now. Let me show you Forza. Forza is really difficult to see the apexes. Let's go to the start of his race. And you're going to see there's going to be a stark difference of when I can see the apexes in iRacing compared to Forza. It's pretty different. So this is a blind corner, but the apex is after the corner. It's right here. You can't really see it. It's a little bit after the wall, so that one's pretty much going to be blind in Forza. And these are kind of stark differences you need to notice. So that apex is there. This apex is all the way up the hill. It's like all the way up the hill. So to go back and see that again so you get an idea of what I was talking about. You can't spot the apex. So this is a big difference. You apex here, and then the apex is like right up here. It's a big difference. It's pretty stark. Then you just gotta race down the straight. And you're also gonna notice there's not really a rumble strip that tells you where to stop. And you'll notice he's braking before he can even see the corner. So this is effectively a blind corner. You can't even see the corner yet. And the apex is right here. But you can't even see the corner, and the apex is behind that wall. It's right there. So he misses apex. Apex is here. Maybe a little bit further back than that, but around that area. So this corner, like I said, the wall makes it blind. The apex is here. The wall just completely obscures your vision. You can't see the apex of the corner. The apex is right here. It's about there at the edge of the green. So it's pretty hard to see the apexes, and I can't really point them out like I was in iRacing early. You want an apex here, and then you want an apex a bit off the wall about right there, somewhere around that area. I can be like that's what I meant. So when I'm pointing out the apexes in Forza, it's a lot more generalized than it's exactly right here. It's exactly right here. Like you could probably already tell the difference. The apex is gonna be right here. Like it's past the wall. You can't see it. The apex is right here, just past the wall, or right at the wall. It's gonna be one of the two. The apex of this corner is right here, and the apex of this corner will be about right here. Of course, you will hold more speed, and you would turn in later to do that properly. But right now, I'm just looking to see when I can see the apexes of the corners. So the apex of this corner is going to be right here at the end. Of course, he held too much speed. Should have slowed down a little. Okay. This apex is right here. Right past the wall. That apex is right there. So some apexes you can see easily, like that last corner. It's very easy to see where the apex is there. In my opinion, that last corner is actually even easier to see the apex in iRacing, because if you go back and you look at it, throughout the entirety of this corner, when you're turning, you can see the apex for this corner. And look, you can still see the apex. It's right there. You can still see it. But if you go to iRacing, you can't see that apex. Like, you see it for a brief moment and you know you have the apex right here. But you're blind. You can't see the apex anymore. So for iRacing, this is the only corner on the track that is objectively worse than Forza. So when you're racing with the racing line off, being able to see the apex is a pretty big deal because that's how you predict where you need to be on the track and how much you need to slow down, how soon you can see the corner. Because otherwise, you can be taking every corner as if they're blind and just based off your knowledge versus can you see the corner and race naturally. So that's the difference I'm talking about here. Can you see the corner and race naturally? Whenever I play iRacing or GT Sport, the answer is usually yes. Even more so in GT Sport than iRacing and Forza because GT Sport makes their curbs pretty big and you could see the curves and the corners from a pretty far distance away. Now, whether or not that's a good thing, I don't know. Personally, I think I prefer GT Sport the most because iRacing has a lot of blind corners. So iRacing isn't perfect with it, but you know what? In real life, you're gonna have blind corners too, right? So you're just gonna have to go with what you can see, and I think iRacing kind of capitalizes on that. But in my opinion, the best experience for being able to see a corner and the apex is probably GT Sport. I think they do it the best. But this is just to show you the difference between just iRacing and Forza. In fact, let's see if we can find a video on GT Sport just to see how GT Sport does it. Let's see. Yeah, we can go ahead and use Super GT's video. Let's go and see. Let's see. Okay, we'll just do it from the start. Let's see how GT Sport does it. Need to turn that up so we can actually see it. So the apex is this is blind. It's right after it. It's right after the wall. So you basically gonna need to turn in into the not hit the wall, but turn into the wall to hit the apex there. So pretty much the same as both Forza and iRacing. That's going to be blind. That's the way it should be. The apex is here. Apex is here. I can see the apex. So here's a big difference. Like in Forza, that up the hill, this part is very long, so you can't see the apex. But in GT Sport and iRacing, you can see the apex. And not only that, this is what I was talking about when I say GT Sport kind of does it better. Because you can see the apex on this corner. It's right here. So in iRacing, you notice it was completely blind and, you basically just went for it up the hill. But here, you can clearly see that apex, right? And the apex is right here. You want to hit just after that green cone, probably in between them. The apex is right here. Like you can clearly see the strike. This dude's going so slow. Apex is here. Like this is too easy. Cause GT Sport is those cones show you where the apex is, man. The apex is right here on this second cone right here. You went forward. Let me see. So I'm trying to see the rest of the track. Where is he at? Let me see if I can find a better video, because I need one that doesn't skip. We can go back to that exact section of the track. We were just a little bit. Yeah, GT Sport is pretty much cheating, but the apex is right there. So not only that, but they show you exactly where you can see that apex. Even without the cones, you can see the apex, but those green cones show you exactly where it is. It's going to be right here. And then this one's going to be about right here. And then he could have held more speed through there or went sharper. Then next one's going to be right here, which is exactly what the cones are. This one's right here. I would say that apex is a bit later than the cones, probably at the last one. This apex is here, at the last cone, basically. This apex would be right here, exactly where the cone is. So I can see, and you notice a lot of the time I'm actually pointing out the apex before you can even see the cones. So that's how far back I can see the apex in GT Sport. Like you can see the apex of the corner. Apex of the corner is like right here, right there. And this is what I'm talking about. This is the difference between Forza and other games. You can see this apex is right here. Thankfully that wall is not there. Apex is here. So without the wall, it's even easier to see. But that's just to give you an idea of the difference in apexes and what you can actually see. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. So that way, now there's more of a comparison to when you can see the apexes of the corners and when you can actually see the corners. Because you can notice if you go back and watch this video, it's very hard to see some of the corners in Forza because of how much longer they've been extended. You can't really see the apex. A lot of the time it has to do with there's a wall there. So you can't really say the apex is exactly right here when you're driving into it. You'll notice GT Sport and iRacing, they have much better rumble strips and stuff for the braking zones when you're supposed to be stopping and a whole bunch of different stuff. So Forza is not anywhere near close in my opinion with being able to see the corner, being able to pick out your braking points, being able to see the apex of the corners and things like that. It's been talked about quite a bit. Now, do I really have an issue with it? No. I mean, the way I do it is I just see every corner as a blind corner. It is what it is. If I can't see the apex, then I just remember the exact point I need to break instead of racing naturally. So whenever I play GT Sport or when you see me play iRacing, it's very easy for me to see the apexes. So I just race naturally. I'm not really braking at the same point because the car's not going to behave the same every time. But I don't need to memorize the exact spot to break because I can see the apex. So the difference is I'm using my concentration instead of just taking it like a blind corner and breaking down a specific spot. In iRacing and GT Sport, I'm specifically using my concentration in my eyes to tell me what is the best breaking point versus Forza where I'm like, okay, I need to break at this dotted line. Okay, I need to break at this dotted line. Okay, I need to break when I see this object right here. I'm not doing that when I play GT Sport or iRacing. I'm actually physically looking at the apex of the corner and judging when I need to brake so that way I can meet that apex. It's just pretty stark difference. So that's all I really wanted to say. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you enjoyed this comparison. So I am really hoping that in Forza Motorsports 8 they do fix this issue because it really is a glaring issue and it's a pretty stark difference. It might not look like much, but not being able to see the apex for the extra 50 to 100 meters, that's a pretty big deal. And anyone who races at any type of significant speed should be able to tell you there's a difference between when you can see the apex and when you can't. So that's why in Forza, I think the best way to put it is go play iRacing or GT Sport or even Race Room, any sim racer, and turn off the line, make sure there's no line on, and see how fast you can learn the track. Then do that with Forza. I guarantee you, you're going to notice that there is a stark difference in how fast you can learn the track. Because when I started playing iRacing, I didn't have a problem with apex and corners when I first started. I started earlier this year. I actually had it previously, but I didn't really start playing it seriously until like January, February this year. But it gives you a pretty stark difference in how fast you can learn a track. And iRacing, just getting down, I say somewhere between 3 to 6 laps. It depends on the car, but 3 to 6 basic laps is pretty much all I need to get an idea of what the track wants from me. And then after that, I'll just start increasing my speed. And I generally don't leave the track. In Forza, I leave the track all the damn time. It takes me a while to get used to it. So unless I've already been racing on it for a good couple hours or something like that, I'm probably not going to be able to just break at the right spot every single time. And then you got to keep in mind, I'm using a bunch of different cars too. Cars have different braking points. So not being able to see the apex is extremely frustrating because your braking point isn't always going to be the same. And if I can't see the apex, I can't really judge my breaking point. And there's also motion blur that you have to deal with as well. Just Devin made a video on that. Let me see if I can find that real quick. It should be in my history. I don't see it. It's over here. I put it over here. Where are you? It's right here. So this is the title of the video. This has a whole comparison in it. I recommend you go and watch this video because it does show you the differences. It shows you that it's about 50 meters before you can really see the corner. I'm not even talking about the apex, but just the corner. And like I showed, like there's generally walls and stuff to make corners blind. And even if they weren't, like it's still 50 meters or so before you can even see the corner to begin with. But that's pretty much all I have to say. I don't want to extend this video too long. So do check out this video because it's pretty detailed and in depth, and it explains why it's so hard to turn off the racing line in Forza. So you guys have a nice day.